health leaders have some new guidelines now for how providers should distribute monoclonal antibody treatments for COVID-19.
They say medical professionals need to prioritize patients who are at risk. 6 on Your Side reporter Lexi Spivak tells us what this means for the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated.
Good evening, Bo and Lori. If you look at the guidelines from the National Institutes of Health, they state if providers are having supply or staffing issues, then they recommend prioritizing patients based off of risk. Now, that includes patients who are unvaccinated. So in theory, yes, an unvaccinated person could be ahead of you in line if you are vaccinated. But one local pharmacist we spoke with says it's simply not that black and white.
There's a lot of debate or heated things online about you prioritizing it for certain patients.
Pharmacist Tyler Doherty of Clinton Drugstore says when it comes to concerns the vaccinated are being pushed to the back of the line for monoclonal antibody treatments, it just isn't true. He says it's a lot more complex and that decisions are made on a case-by-case basis.
If you have a patient that is vaccinated, for example, and they're severely immunocompromised based off a lot of their comorbidities or the disease states, like clearly we're going to make a judgment call on that.
Doherty says this call to prioritize patients really isn't changing much for the pharmacy. He says most of the people needing the treatment are unvaccinated anyway.
If you look at the hospitalizations right now, almost 98% of our hospitalizations in the state of Tennessee for COVID-19 are from the unvaccinated patients. So in our practice, we're seeing almost everybody that's coming to get this is unvaccinated.
Doherty also says these are tough decisions he's already had to face within just the last week.
We had 3 doses. We had more than 3 orders. So we had to say, hey, are you vaccinated? Are you not vaccinated? What kind of diseases do you have? And try to rule out, like, how do we make a judgment? And then where can we refer these patients to get the therapy if we don't have it?
Moving forward, he fears the situation will only get worse if people don't opt for the first line of defense against the virus, the vaccine.
We've yet to have to severely make those judgment calls, but I am concerned for the future.
And remember, it doesn't all come down to being vaccinated or not. There's a long list of additional criteria someone looking to get the monoclonal antibody treatment needs to meet. For starters, you must be at least 12 years old and weigh at least 85 pounds. You also must have tested positive or have been exposed to COVID in the last 10 days. There's also a long list of high-risk health conditions someone must have in order to qualify. Bo?
All right, Lexi, thank you. And we have the entire statement from the Tennessee Department of Health on WATE.com if you want to read it for yourself.